Okay, I think we're in focus. Just be very careful. Hi. Fuji cameras are awesome, and I have the X-T4. I'm a huge fan of its performance in both photography and for shooting video. And let's not forget how affordable Fuji cameras are compared to the other big brands on the market. But as you already know, a camera is nothing without a beautiful piece of glass in front of its sensor. And although Fuji's cameras are well priced, their native lenses can bust the bank if you're not careful. I've been craving a 50mm for my Fuji, but I just can't justify spending $1,500 USD for the Fuji 50mm f1.0, even though the results from that lens are absolutely beautiful. Fuji also has a 50mm f2, but even that is $450 USD, and this is where the TTartisan 50mm f1.2, this lens that you're seeing right now on my X-T4, comes in. For 98 bucks, you might be thinking, this lens has gotta be a piece of poo. But oh how you are wrong. I took this lens out for a little street photography sesh downtown Nashville, and I really like the results I got with the lens. The photos I shot look sharp even at f1.2, and it gives you this nice bokeh-licious look that we all love, but at a very affordable price tag. Now, keep in mind, Fuji's sensors for their APS-C cameras are a 1.5 times crop compared to full frame or 35mm equivalent. So this 50mm lens on the Fuji actually turns out to be a 75mm equivalent. But I will say I enjoy the extra reach using this lens with the X-T4, because when I'm out shooting secret portraits of strangers or just random shots, it's kind of nice to be a little bit farther away and still get shots that don't look crazy wide. Even the build quality of this lens surprised me. When I bought it on Amazon for $98, I expected a crappy hunk of plastic to show up in my mailbox, but to my surprise, it's actually made of solid metal, and it actually has a decent amount of weight to it, despite how tiny it is. The aperture ring is clicked, and it makes this subtle noise that I actually really love for some reason.
Oh, that's nice.
And the focus ring on the lens is smooth and has just enough resistance where you can feel it when you're focusing, but it's not gonna fly all over the place and make your shots look crazy. It'll take some practice for sure. It doesn't have like a cinema lens really far focus throw, but it is smooth and feels nice. Which reminds me, I should probably have mentioned already that this lens is entirely manual. The aperture is manual, the focus, there is nothing automatic about this thing. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of Fuji's autofocus system. Since I've converted to Sony for most of my video stuff, I am now a spoiled brat. So when it comes to shooting Fuji, I actually like going all manual. It kind of fits the whole Fuji vibe of having these vintage looking cameras that shoot really high quality stuff in a condensed package, and this lens complements that idea perfectly. So it gives you a really great chance to shoot manual and practice your focusing skills using your aperture ring, and it'll help refine your skills when it comes to shooting manually for video. Alright, when it comes to shooting video with this lens, I'll admit it. I'll just say straight up, I had my doubts, okay? Typically, I am lonely inside. Sorry. Typically, I prefer heavier lenses when it comes to shooting video, mostly because I use small cameras, so having heavier lenses means I'm gonna get relatively smoother footage. So when I saw how tiny this lens was, I was like, okay, my footage is gonna look like total butt cheeks for sure. But as we mentioned a little bit ago, this lens, although small, is pretty dense. It's pretty chunky son of a gun. And if you're careful, Fuji's IBIS system can definitely help you smooth out any extra jitters you might have with a small camera like this and a small lens. My recommendation would be to not move around very much when you're using a Fuji camera with IBIS and this lens, because it is a really light setup. It's easy to shake the camera and get some wobbly looking stuff in your images. And also, this is more of a longer focal length lens, which means any motion you have in your hands is going to be amplified the longer the lens is. But if you're careful and you got steady hands, maybe you're doing some relatively low motion scene kind of stuff, or just handheld, standing still, you can get some really tasty shots with this lens on a Fuji camera. Also, do whatever you want in your life, because I don't know everything. In my test footage, I noticed that this lens is slightly too sharp for my taste. Like, a lot of you might like how it looks, and you can definitely reduce sharpness in post, which is nice. So this shot right here, this talking head, is actually shot with a Nisi quarter black mist filter, just to kind of soften the edges a little bit. I'm also at f1.2 because I'm a wild son of a gun, dude. And if you do want to add filters to this lens, like diffusion filters like I'm using right now, or variable NDs, which I use outside, keep in mind that the filter thread on this lens is only 52 millimeters. That's pretty small, but you can do what I do if you so wish and get a 52 to 82 millimeter step-up ring. That way you can use your bigger filters on a smaller lens and not spend a bunch of extra money. I love how much quality can come out of a compact setup like this. And I think really that's the biggest benefit, and the biggest reason why I wanted to share this video with you guys is you can create really high quality looking stuff with a rig that can go under the radar and look like you're a tourist. Maybe some of you don't like that, but I actually like to be as discreet as possible, especially if I'm out in the streets or shooting random stuff, shooting things in public. It's nice that you can look like your average tourist, but have this 4K 60 super high quality with a sharp lens looking camera setup. If you're a Fuji juicer like me, check out this lens in the description if you want to try it out with your Fuji camera. Or if you want to support the channel, check out these little vintage Fuji Juice dad hats. They are now live, back in stock. And if you don't want to spend any ding-dang money on a dumb YouTuber, feel free to join my camera camp by just subscribing. You just hit that little button and you're an honorary member of this camera camp. And if you want to go even further and make some friends and get some feedback on your work and just hang out with cool camera people, join our Discord using the link below. It's absolutely free. You can chat with me, DM me, we can hang out. Last thing, on October 31st of this year, 2021, we're having our first ever real life meetup. This is the camera camp actually coming to fruition in real life here in this city of Nashville, Tennessee. So if you want to fly out here or drive out here and hang out with me and a bunch of our cool members of the Zachy May fam, the camera camp, then just go check out the Discord and chat with me in there. There's a dedicated Camp Kinotika channel in there where we can talk about this stuff. Okay, that's my message. Hopefully you like this video. I really like this lens. I still love Fuji, and they complement each other very well. I love you. Text me when you get home. See ya.